Hi everybody and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen, and today we're going to talk about Flaeskesteg, very traditional Danish dish at the holidays. It is a dish that you will be judged on if you're in a Danish family. You can have a good pork roast, but if your crackling isn't good for your Flaeskesteg, which is a pork loin roast with skin on, then you're in deep doo-doo. Now there's lots of different ways. The Mexicans do it a certain way, the Spanish do it a different way, even the French. But the Danes, I think, have got the best methods. Now there's, as I said, a couple of different ways of doing this. One is very old-fashioned, my grandma used to use, where you turn the whole roast skin down and actually cook it in water in the oven. And that comes out pretty good, but I've come up with another way, which is not that complicated. I'm not using in this demonstration a whole pork loin roast. I'm just going to use part of that with the crackling on top, just as a way to show you what a good crackling can look like. Now the key takeaways from this basically are: make sure the skin is dry. I don't put bay leaves in, some people do. I've already made my gravy ahead of time, so the bay leaves are primarily used for the gravy flavoring. A lot of people will put the bay leaves in the water. But what I do is I start with a high temp and go medium-low through the middle, and then I go high temp at the end. So take a look and you be the judge. I'll be very happy to hear any feedback that you have or any comments. I know there's going to be a ton because everybody has their own way of doing it, but this one's mine. Okay, so let's get to the background of this. I've went to my favorite butcher, Aaron, who is at Chaffee's Meats in Burnaby, British Columbia. They're amazing. But he gave me this piece to demonstrate how to make proper crackling. Now normally this would be attached onto a pork loin roast with the bone in it or out or whatever. But today I've got a special cut which is called Secreto, or the secret, by the Spaniards. And I'm using this simply for one purpose only, and that is to show how to make proper crackling. Now this particular cut, it comes from behind the shoulder and below the back fat of the pig. And in the old days, it was a secret cut that unless you cut this horizontally, you would never see it. You'd never even notice that this existed. And this is the secreto in here. But that's not the goal today. Today it's just simply supporting my goal, which is to make really good crackling. So to start with, we're going to take some avocado oil. By the way, I've preheated the oven. I know that everybody talks about whether you preheat. What's that all about? Well, let's say I heated the oven to 425 degrees. And I'm now rubbing. I'm going to rub all of this fat with the olive oil while the oven's getting warm. Now I don't want it to be, absolutely covered in it, but I want it to be moist. I should also mention I kept this out and let it dry in the air for a couple of hours. Another trick to this is making sure that the skin is really dry. And this is part of the reason it works. Now, after putting on the avocado oil, I'm going to sprinkle some coarse salt. And I scored this myself. Now, Aaron would have done this for me, but I wanted to do it myself today. So, I'm going to rub the salt in. And you want to get the salt into the cracks, so to speak. And don't be afraid of getting it going there. I know this seems a little tedious right now, but it's getting there. So once I've done all of that, we can get crackling. Get it? Get crackling. So, and you'll notice that when I scored, I don't score down to the meat, because if you do that, you're going to lose a lot of moisture. And this technique will, in the end, give you some of the best crackling you've ever seen. And this can, as I said, can be used on a pork loin. Same idea. Same principles. If you follow it on my website, I get into it fairly in depth because it can be really picky. there's nothing worse than having a pork loin roast with a crackling on it, and you pull it out and it's all gummy and gooey on top and it's not working for you. So this is what we're left with right now, and I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of cracked pepper. And make sure your oven is up to temp. Okay? And once it's up to temp, I am going to fire this in. Because it's a thin cut, it's not an actual roast. I am going to fire this up and keep it at 425 for about 15-20 minutes. And then once it's reached that, let's say 20-minute mark, then I'm going to drop it all the way down to 325 and let that go for another 20-30 minutes. And then I'm going to finish it off again. I'm going to bring the heat back up again to finish it off, so that actually you'll start to see the fat start to pop. All right, so let's take a look and see what happens. All right, so here we are, the moment of truth. Most of the crackling here is great. This little part in here, not so much. But you know what? If there's only that much of it that isn't working, I'm pretty happy camper. At the end of the day, this is pretty decent crackling. You do this on your pork loin roast, and you're going to have some very happy people. Okay, so at the end, go back to my website, and I'll show you the temperatures and the times to do it. I finished this off very hot at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes. Everybody's oven acts differently, so you can't just go by the timing. You need to listen for the pop or look through the window of your oven and take a look at it. It takes a little bit of babysitting if you want really good crackling. But there you go. Hope you enjoy.